Welcome to the new year and episode number 2 in the new year of our Superhero Battle Room. If you never watched our show, it's War Hero to Superhero. You saw the clip. So we are in the Superhero Battle Room with Rue Munoz, and he will tell me if I pronounce his name wrong because I usually hack names the first time. He is a military man, has served his country. I forgot to edit that super quick, and is now pivoting to serve our community by educating through failure. So my minor failure is okay. He's going to teach through his failures, and we're going to bring him on the stage because he takes his failures and makes it your success. Hey, Rue, do I have you?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
All right. Did I say the first name and the last name right, or did I hack it? Just curious.
No, actually, you did a lot better than a lot of people did in the Marine Corps. That's for sure. They change letters where it goes. I mean, you know how it goes.
Yeah, I know. My name has been Faust. It's been Zoust. It's been Zaust. It's Saust. So I get that. It's just English is a language that is a combination of every language. So,
Yep.
but we're talking more about the beauty of your transformation. We're going to talk about the past a little bit. So, what inspired you to join the military?
That's really easy. My father was actually medically retired staff sergeant, getting ready for OCS from the Army. And so I grew up in that arena for my first years while he was active duty. And then once he got medically retired, grew up in San Antonio, Texas. So San Antonio, Texas has like 5 bases. I think they still have 5 bases. Lackland Air Force Base and Fort Sam Houston Army Base, and then a couple more Air Force bases. So that my grandfather was in the military. Most of the males in my dad's side of the family were all in the military. I was the first Marine, and just growing up in a heavy active duty town, it was just one of those things, right? Had that feel of serving and doing the patriotic duty. The second side of that was also that I had a lot of friends, riffraff, and I knew if I didn't get out of San Antonio sooner than later, I could have went down a bad path, and that's just the reality of it.
It's very interesting how mill dependents or mill kids make their decisions. I have like 4 kids. I have one going into the Navy. You think he would have went Air Force, but he's going Navy. And then, because I'm Air Force myself, and then my second child is more like, no flipping way. I'm staying in Dover forever. And then the other 2 go back and forth because they're twins. Like one of them wants to be an entrepreneur. The other one wants to get into culinary, but the other one's looking at the military. And then one moment she wanted to be a C-17 pilot. I'm like, it's just amazing to me that you can be all in the same family and you could have a major influence or a minor influence. And I would say I have a minor influence because I'm the only one in my family directly that they're connected to that's like, hey, this is my dad. Because they still don't know my job to this day. They sometimes get it right. They sometimes get it wrong. So it's amazing on how the influence goes over and happens. And some person can make one decision, make another decision, and they can just go all different directions. So that's really cool that you made that decision, because I meet a lot of the mill dependent kids, especially in this generation, that are not wanting to be, and a lot of the Gen Z and Alpha, and that's why they're having recruiting issues. So it's very interesting that you made the decision amidst into it compared to, okay, I'm the person that's never been in and I never seen it, so I came in. So really cool. So how long were you in, and when did you leave?
So I went in 97 and I got out in 03. So on my second enlistment, I actually blew out my knee, and it was a bad time for me, really, because it was, again, I re-enlisted, was going to be a recruiter. My plans were to be a career Marine, take it the full 20 plus, and then retire, right? And well, I blew out my knee, just got done with a divorce, no money saved up. My father at that time was in a terminal situation at a VA home. And so I really had no home to go to either when this all happened. So it was a crazy forced multiplier for sure. And actually ended up me being homeless for a period of time immediately after. Fortunately, unbeknownst to me, a cousin of mine had got married to a Marine, and he was on deployment. And so while I was going through SEPs in Camp Pendleton, happened to come across her in the parking lot going to the PX. And I was trying to debate, where do I go, right? Because I had my one ticket home, but I had no home to go to. And so I camped out with her and her family for about a couple months while her husband came back home from his deployment. And they needed to be a family. They were going to be traveling. So it was time for me to go. And then I went back home to San Antonio and couch surfed for a little bit. Again, homeless, trying to figure out where I was going to go, what I was going to do.
Yeah, that's a lot to go over and absorb. So you went from thriving recruiter, helping people to come into the service, to like blown knee, getting out, divorce. The struggle is real. And couch surfing. I mean, I tend to visualize people's stories very well as much as I can. And I'm like, I could just see that happening. You're like doing a PT rucksack. I'm not sure if it was daytime. I'm thinking because most Marines work during the day, and it probably happened during then. And you think it's small, but then you find out it's really bigger than what it is. And I'm like, that's a lot to absorb. And then as you're getting out, your spouse is going like this. So your whole entire structure of life and identity. So how did you go over and make a transition into a transformation and not lose your identity and become basically the statistic that is on every day for us as veterans?
Yeah, well, there was some lead up into that as well, which I'm glad you brought that up. So there was an attempted suicide during that time. Very little help from the active duty hospital psychologist that was there. And it was tough, man. Fortunately, right during that time, I ran into my cousin, and it gave me a little bit of inspiration. Reached out to buddies of mine that were back home, and they're like, hey, just come here, couch surf, I got you. And also a veteran. And it was really that. I think if I had been out there too much longer, I would have found success in the end. But that didn't happen. And then ultimately during that time as well, I ended up getting some trouble, right? Standard. And unfortunately, for me, my detainment during that time of trouble was for something I didn't even do. I was being blamed for some assaults. In that situation, I was being held awaiting court. And, I went on a spiritual journey and really honed into that. That was needed at that time. I got very religious for a period of time. I'm not very religious now. I am definitely spiritual. And I think that was my beacon of light for that time period. And then I moved forward, couch surfed San Antonio, caught a train ride up to St. Louis, which now I reside in. I've been in St. Louis now since 2003. And couch surfed up here with another Marine veteran buddy of mine for a period of time. He got me set up, and then I got stuck. Married again, children, and then got homeless, got divorced. And that one was a combination of going through my own angers and really diving through those emotions, unhealed mental situation, I'm sure. And it was at that moment in time is when I really found my inner strength because of kids. Ultimately, that was my saving grace at that time. And I made a vow. I was like, I will never be homeless again. And I would never rely on a job again either.
Those things are so huge to unpack, but we will unpack them in a moment after our sponsor break.
You have served. No matter if it was in the military or civilian service, you deserve to live good. Live good in health. Live good in wealth. Live good in so much more. At Live Good, the global wholesale buyer club, we empower you to take your mission to the next level. We all struggle in life. No matter the barriers, we do not need to stay there. Each day is an opportunity to step into better health. Each day is an opportunity to step into wealth. Each day is an opportunity to step into dreams. Live Good, the global wholesale buyers club, empowers all these steps and more. Ready to be empowered? Grab the link to learn more.
Welcome back. Before we went to sponsor break, Rue was unpacking his life of multiple divorces, couch surfing, homelessness, having kids, and finding now not only his identity, but taking his failures and now making them successes. So we're going to dive that more into there. Hey, Rue, that was a very powerful moment, but we had to do a commercial break. I wasn't trying to go.
No, you're good.
So you have basically unpacked about years of trauma and hurt in a matter of a couple seconds in that particular regard. So you serve now, which you could just say, I've already gone through enough trauma. I'm just going to keep my life operational, ops tempo, and everything else. What made you pivot to serve our current community and go take educating us through your failures?
Really, man, it's just the realization that if this in my life time period has happened, how many other people have had very similar situations, if not worse situations, and are just lost, right? Not, I mean, like many of us that get out of the military, we try to go to the VA. Depending on what VA you go to, where you're at, and everything, they're not all the same. Service is not all the same at all, and we all know that there's always arguments in veteran groups where the VA around here just sucks, and I don't ever get service, I don't ever get help. To the polar opposite, where, well, my VA clinic is outstanding, and I've gotten all the help since day one. And so I know for me, it was definitely, I had no help to get. I went to the VA, tried to get help. It was a comical show at best. And from there, it was a matter of finding resources, which at that time for me, it was very hard unless you were already involved with some groups or, had some instructions from somebody that was personal to you that could guide you. We didn't have a lot of the resources like we do today with Facebook Lives and groups and free communities to find all this information. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm doing my bit to help out somebody else, whether veteran or not, entrepreneur or not. Is ultimately my goal. Is anybody that's been through struggles, I'm always willing to help as best as I can. And we use platforms for that, right? We use free channels, social media. It's a great tool for sure.
So basically, your trials have made you, and I'm spitballing this name, the failure educator. You have taken your failures and now bringing education to it so people can go from failures to successes at that same time. So what's your secret fuel when the tough times come? Because, you had that attempt and everything else, but life can still hit. And sometimes it compounds. Like you think you went over and dealt with something. And for my analogy, I think of it like almost like First Corinthians, Second Corinthians. I'm a little Bible geek. First Corinthians, there was some real trauma in there, and then it goes over and there's still stuff and it comes by again. And you're like, I've had that type of life. I lived at Joint Base with McCord, and then I went back and I'm like, did I fail my Second Corinthians? How do I go over and deal with this? So what's your secret fuel when the pressure and tough times come?
Man, secret, I don't really think it's a secret. I think it's just a matter of having the knowledge that so many other people rely on me. And I'm not talking about just my kids, my family. Oh, and by the way, I have 5 kids. So 3 from my other ex, and then 2, as I like to joke around and always say, my last wife. And we've been going strong now for almost 13 years. No, 13 years, almost 14. And oops. And it's not just them that rely on me. It's a lot of people with the different businesses I'm involved with. It's my team. It's all their families. I use that a lot, and that's what really has me going. The last couple of years on social media and stuff, I've dropped off because I really needed to hone in on me and deep dive me and work on processes, work on systems, which now I'm utilizing, and I'm very fortunate Daniel, that you were able to see some of me that led me and you to actually having conversation and us being here together. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think that's key. You have to have an external motivator. So that's why we say it's a secret fuel. Each person's different, but your fuel is the people that you go over and serve as immediate family, 5 kids. You do beat me. I have 4. You do beat me, so you've caught up.
Baby factory's closed, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
You got time to catch up.
Oh, no. It's closed. The way we see it is this, is that my wife, after the twins, and it was really extensive, she got, and if we ever had number 5, I would get, and if it got to number 6, I was like, Lord, you just want me to have kids. We're just going to keep going until it's over. So, because if both people are, and you're still having kids, I'm like, that is definitely, that is the Lord. I don't care.
Divine intervention.
At that point, it's the
Uh-oh. Oh, got frozen.
All right, I think we're back. Good.
Yeah,
was
there
only
it
a
is.
minor glitch. So we'll get into our last question before the internet goes. So secret superhero tactics. We want you to think either your past self or the people that you're coaching. What would you give them to go over and to thrive instead of just survive?
Oh man, to thrive, it's one thing. Just focus on one thing, become the best at that, and share your story constantly. When I first started in construction, right, in the painting trades, that's what actually got me into eventually some coaching and guiding others and into teaching, was doing that. And it was really me just sharing what I was doing every day, whether it's cutting in a line, rolling a wall. I would run a live, and I was like, hey, I'm going to show everybody how to do this, because if you can't afford to pay a contractor to do this, here's some tips and tricks, right, for homeowners. And I didn't realize that was a marketing thing. So, but I stayed consistent within the construction realm since 2016. And that's what has really led up to eventually being stable and learning a lot of other things about people. But it's just consistency. Find your passion, hone in that skill, and share it consistently. Everything else will come to align at some point in future, as long as you do those things, whatever it is. Just share what you're doing while you're learning, express what you've learned to others, and just stay in it. And eventually, if you do that, everything works out. It really does.
I would agree with that. It's taken about a decade of me being consistent in this to get to the point of this. So, and now I'm starting to blessedly be able to serve bigger communities and whatnot. So I want to thank you, Rue, for going over and joining on. And we only had a minor glitch, so we're going to be able to use this recording. Yay. So I'm going to give you the floor one more time to talk about what you go over and do, and if there's any call to action you want to give our audience, and then we will close it out to credits. So thank you for joining, and thank you for serving us through your failures.
Oh, good, Daniel. I am very humbled and appreciate the invite, and for us to be able to do this together. I have been watching your exit countdown on your Facebook page, so super exciting for you. I know that you have a plan and you're working towards it. So, but yeah, as far as me, I'm Rue Munoz. You can find me anywhere really off of Rue Munoz. So I am in launch phase of offerings that'll be coming out later on this month, possibly top of next month. Still finalizing logos and all that good stuff. So when my offerings come out, it will be through Diabs, and it's going to be a service base, but that'll be in the future. Just find me on Rue Munoz, or if you're on Facebook and you're friends with Daniel or any of the people that I may be friends with, my last name is spelled differently on there. It's spelled phonetically, so it's Munoz. So Daniel, going back as far as pronouncing it, you were really, really close. Actual pronunciation, just like any Spanish name is Munoz, so it's a little accent, right? But yeah, no, I'm here. If anybody finds me, send me a message. I'll always respond. And if I don't have an answer for you, I'll find you somebody that does. I guarantee that. So that's all I got, man. That's all I got. I'm very, very appreciative being here, though.